Chapter 1. Strange Behavior. Austin Lloyd stood in the doorway of his infant daughter's nursery at 2:47 a.m., watching his 7-year-old son Julian sleep on the floor beside Emma's crib. This was the 4th night in a row. The pale moonlight streaming through the window illuminated Julian's small frame curled up on the hardwood floor, using only his thin blanket and a stuffed dinosaur as comfort. Austin's jaw tightened. Something was wrong. He was a high school history teacher, trained to notice patterns and read between the lines of teenage behavior. His own son's sudden change was screaming at him, but the message remained unclear. "Austin." Cora's sleepy voice came from behind him. His wife shuffled up, rubbing her eyes. "Is he in there again?" "Yeah." Austin stepped aside so she could see. "Cora, this isn't normal. He won't talk to me about it." "He's probably just adjusting to having a baby sister," Cora yawned. "Give him time. My Aunt Vera said it's common for older siblings to." "I don't care what Vera said." Austin's tone was sharper than intended. He softened it. "Sorry. I think we need to figure out what's really going on." Cora had invited her aunt to stay with them after Emma was born 6 months ago. Vera Crawford was 58, recently divorced, and claimed she wanted to help with the baby while Cora recovered and returned to her nursing shifts. She'd been nothing but helpful, cooking, cleaning, taking night feedings so Cora could rest. Yet Austin couldn't shake an instinctive discomfort around the woman. "Maybe he's having nightmares," Cora suggested. "Emma's room makes him feel safe." "Then why won't he tell us that?" Austin moved into the nursery and gently scooped Julian into his arms. The boy stirred but didn't wake as Austin carried him back to his own bedroom. As he tucked Julian in, the boy's eyes fluttered open. "Dad, hey buddy, you're supposed to sleep in your own bed, remember?" Julian's expression shifted. Fear flashed across his face before he buried it. "I know. Sorry. Julian, you can tell me anything. You know that, right?" Austin sat on the edge of the bed. "Is something scaring you?" The boy's eyes darted toward the doorway, then back. "No. I'm fine." It was a lie. Austin had seen enough students lie to recognize the telltale signs. The inability to maintain eye contact, the fidgeting hands, the too quick response. "Okay," Austin said slowly. "But when you're ready to talk, I'm here." After Julian fell back asleep, Austin found Cora in their bedroom. "He's terrified of something." "You're overreacting," Cora said, but doubt flickered in her eyes. "He's 7, Austin. Kids go through phases." "Do they?" "Because our son, who used to sleep through anything, who never had problems sleeping alone, is suddenly camping on a hardwood floor every single night. And he looks scared, Cora. Really scared." "What are you suggesting?" Austin ran a hand through his dark hair. "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." The next morning, Austin made breakfast while Vera fed Emma her bottle in the living room. He watched from the kitchen as Julian entered the room, froze when he saw his great-aunt, then slowly backed away. "Julian, come eat," Austin called. The boy practically ran to the kitchen, relief evident on his face. "You don't like Aunt Vera very much, do you?" Austin asked quietly, setting a plate of pancakes down. Julian's fork clattered against his plate. "She's fine. Buddy, I need you to be honest with me. Has she done something to upset you?" "No." The word came out too loud, panicked. Julian glanced toward the living room. "She's nice. She helps Mom." Austin crouched beside his son's chair. "Julian, look at me." The boy's eyes were wet with unshed tears. "Whatever it is, you're not in trouble. But I need to know the truth. Is Aunt Vera the reason you're sleeping in Emma's room?" Julian's lower lip trembled. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Finally, he whispered so quietly Austin almost missed it. "I can't let her be alone with Emma." Ice flooded Austin's veins. "Why not?" But Julian shook his head violently, tears now streaming down his face. "I can't say. I can't," she said. He stopped abruptly. "She said what?" "Nothing. Forget it." Julian grabbed his backpack. "I need to go to school." Austin watched his son practically flee the house, his mind racing. She said. Vera had threatened Julian somehow. And whatever the boy had witnessed or knew, it was serious enough to keep him sleeping on a floor every night to protect his baby sister. Austin pulled out his phone and texted his best friend Christian Archer. "Need your help with something. Can you come over tonight?" The response was immediate. "What's up?" "Tell you in person. It's about Julian and Emma. Something's very wrong." Chapter 2. Surveillance. Christian Archer arrived that evening with a duffel bag and a grim expression. At 37, He was a freelance investigative journalist who'd helped Austin research sensitive topics for his history classes before. More importantly, he was trustworthy and resourceful. "Talk to me," Christian said, accepting the beer Austin offered. Austin explained everything. Julian's behavior, the fear in his eyes, his cryptic warning about Vera, the implied threat. Christian listened intently, his journalist instincts clearly engaged. "You think Vera's hurting Emma?" Christian asked. "I think Julian believes she might. And that's enough for me." Austin glanced toward the stairs. Cora was giving Emma a bath, while Vera prepared dinner. "I need to know what's happening when we're not watching. Especially at night." Christian opened his duffel bag and pulled out a small box. "Wireless nanny cam. HD, night vision, motion activated. Records to a secure cloud. I use them for stakeouts." "You just carry these around?" "I cover a lot of surveillance stories." Christian handed him 2 more boxes. "Put one in Emma's room, one in the hallway. You can monitor from your phone." They installed the cameras while Vera was in the kitchen. Austin positioned one on Emma's bookshelf, disguised behind a stuffed elephant. The hallway camera went in a smoke detector. "What about your wife?" Christian asked as they worked. "Are you going to tell Cora?" "Not yet. She's exhausted, and Vera's her aunt. She'll think I'm being paranoid." Austin tested the camera feed on his phone. Perfect view of the crib. "If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But if I'm right, then we get evidence and go to the police," Christian finished. "Keep me updated. I'll monitor the feeds too. You gave me access, so I can watch when you're teaching." That night, Austin lay awake beside Cora, his phone on the nightstand displaying the camera feed. Julian had tried to sneak into Emma's room at midnight, but Austin had gently intercepted him. "I've got her, buddy. I promise," Austin had whispered. "You sleep in your bed tonight. I'm watching." Julian had searched his father's face, then nodded slowly. "You believe me? I believe something's wrong, and I'm going to fix it." Now, at 1:15 a.m., Austin watched Vera enter the frame. She moved quietly to Emma's crib, and Austin's hand clenched around his phone. The baby was sleeping peacefully. Vera stood there for a long moment, staring down at Emma. Then she reached into her robe pocket. Austin was already moving, slipping silently out of bed. He crept down the hallway, his heart pounding. Through the cracked door, he could see Vera holding something small, a syringe. Going somewhere. Vera jumped, spinning around. The syringe disappeared back into her pocket. "Austin, you startled me. I was just checking on the baby." At 1 in the morning, in the dark, Austin flipped on the light, positioning himself between Vera and the crib. "What's in your pocket?" "I don't know what you mean." "Empty your pockets." Now, Vera's pleasant expression cracked, revealing something cold beneath. "You're being ridiculous." "I'm family." "Empty your pockets." For a moment, they stared at each other. Then Vera smiled, a chilling expression that made Austin's skin crawl. "You really should mind your own business, Austin. Accidents happen to people who interfere. Is that what you told Julian? Is that why my 7-year-old son is terrified of you?" Vera's smile widened. "Smart boy. Pity you're not as smart." She lunged suddenly, not toward Austin but toward the crib. Austin moved faster, grabbing her arm and yanking her back. They struggled, and the syringe fell from her pocket, clattering on the floor. Emma woke up crying. Cora's voice called from their bedroom. "Austin, is everything okay? Call 911. Austin shouted, pinning Vera against the wall as she fought like a wild animal. "Tell them we need police." Christian burst through the front door. He'd been monitoring the feed and lived only 10 minutes away. Together, they restrained Vera until the police arrived. Chapter 3. The Truth Revealed. Detective Dwayne Hall took Austin's statement while forensic teams processed Emma's nursery. The syringe had been bagged as evidence. Vera sat in the back of a police cruiser, still smiling that disturbing smile. Cora was in shock, clutching Emma and crying. Julian sat beside her, holding his mother's hand. The boy kept looking at his father with something like awe. "You caught her," Julian whispered. "Tell me what you saw, son," Austin said gently, kneeling before him. "You're safe now. She can't hurt you." Julian took a shaky breath. "I woke up 3 weeks ago to get water. I saw her in Emma's room with a needle. She was putting it in Emma's formula bottle. When I made a noise, she saw me." His voice dropped. "She said if I told anyone, she'd hurt Emma worse. She said she'd make it look like an accident, and everyone would blame Mom for being a bad mother." Cora sobbed harder. Austin pulled both his children close. She said she was making Emma sick so she could be the hero who saved her. Julian continued. But I heard her talking on the phone. She told someone that once Emma died, she'd comfort mom and dad, and eventually they'd give her money and let her stay forever. Detective Hall's expression darkened. The syringe likely contained some kind of poison or sedative. We'll know soon. He looked at Austin with respect. Your quick thinking saved your daughter's life, Mr. Lloyd, if you hadn't installed those cameras. But the detective's words faded as Austin processed the full horror. Vera had been slowly poisoning his infant daughter, planning to kill her for financial gain and a permanent home. She'd terrorized his son into silence. And she'd almost succeeded. I want to see the security footage, Christian said, his journalist instincts in full gear. All of it. There might be more attempts recorded. They spent the next hour reviewing footage. What they found was sickening. 6 different instances over 3 weeks of Vera administering something to Emma, in her bottle, her food, even rubbing something on her pacifier. The baby had been suffering, getting sicker, while Vera played the concerned aunt. She's been doing this since she arrived, Austin realized, his voice hollow. Emma's colic, the feeding problems, the rashes, it was all Vera. Medical records would later confirm that Emma had elevated levels of antifreeze in her system, a slow poison that Vera had been administering in tiny doses, making the baby increasingly ill. But something else emerged from Austin's investigation. While police processed Vera's belongings, they found a journal. Detective Hall brought it to Austin hours later, his face grave. You need to read this. The journal revealed Vera's true motive, and it was worse than greed. 20 years ago, Vera had a daughter who died of SIDS at 6 months old. Vera's husband had blamed her, claiming she'd been negligent. The divorce had been bitter, destroying Vera financially and socially. According to her writings, Vera blamed Cora's mother, her sister, for testifying against her in the custody battle over her surviving son. The testimony had painted Vera as unstable and potentially dangerous. She'd lost everything. Now, decades later, Vera saw Emma as a chance for revenge. She would kill Cora's baby the same way her baby had died, making it look natural. Then she'd comfort the family while slowly draining their resources, destroying Cora emotionally the way she'd been destroyed. She's completely insane, Christian muttered, reading over Austin's shoulder. No, Austin said quietly. She's evil. There's a difference. Julian appeared in the doorway, looking small and tired. Austin opened his arms, and his son ran to him. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, Julian whispered. You were protecting your sister the best way you knew how, Austin said fiercely. You were brave, Julian. So brave. I'm proud of you. But as Austin held his son, a cold realization settled over him. Vera would face charges, yes. But the legal system was slow and flawed. Wealthy defendants with good lawyers often walked free. Even if she was convicted, she might get a plea deal, reduced sentence, psychiatric treatment instead of prison. And that wasn't justice. Not for what she'd done to his children. Chapter 4. Investigation. 3 days after Vera's arrest, Austin sat in Christian's apartment, surrounded by research. Vera had been released on bail, $50,000 posted by her ex-husband's family, apparently trying to avoid scandal. This is insane, Austin said, reading the court documents. She tried to murder my daughter, and she's out? Her lawyer's good. Marcus Bradley gets rich sociopaths off all the time. Christian pulled up Bradley's profile. Vera's claiming mental illness, temporary insanity from grief. They're pushing for psychiatric evaluation instead of trial. Austin's hands clenched. So she gets a hospital stay instead of prison? Possibly. Worse, she might be deemed fit and walk with probation if Bradley can sell the jury on her being a grieving mother who had a breakdown. That's not happening. Austin's voice was steel. I won't let it. Christian studied his friend. What are you thinking? I'm thinking the law failed to protect my family once. I won't let it fail again. Austin pulled out his phone, showing Christian a series of notes. I've been researching Vera. She's done this before. That got Christian's attention. What? Her daughter who died 20 years ago? I requested the autopsy report through a FOIA request. You taught me how. Look at this. The report showed elevated levels of digoxin in the baby's system, a heart medication that can be fatal to infants. But at the time, it was attributed to possible genetic factors, and SIDS was ruled as the cause of death. Jesus, Christian breathed. She killed her own baby? And no one caught it because the toxicology wasn't thorough enough back then. She got away with murder once. Austin's eyes were hard. I found 2 other suspicious cases. Her sister, Cora's mother, died 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack. And Vera's ex-husband's mother died 3 years ago after Vera visited her in the nursing home. Both had similar toxicology markers if you know what to look for. Christian leaned back. You're building a pattern. This could help prosecute her. It could, but it won't. Austin pulled out more documents. I spoke to an attorney. All circumstantial. Can't prove anything. The bodies were cremated. No physical evidence. Just suspicious correlations. So what do you want to do? Austin met his friend's eyes. I want justice. Real justice. And I need your help. Austin, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about. She terrorized my 7-year-old son. She poisoned my baby girl for weeks. She killed her own child and probably 2 other people. Austin's voice was controlled fury. The system is going to fail, Christian. It always does for people like Vera, people with money and good lawyers. But I won't fail my family again. Christian was quiet for a long moment. What do you need? Over the next hour, Austin laid out his research. Vera was living in a rental house on the edge of town, required to wear an ankle monitor, but otherwise free. She had patterns, weekly meetings with her lawyer, daily walks in the park, shopping trips every Thursday. She's arrogant, Austin said. She thinks she's one. Her lawyer probably told her she'll get off easy. Her ex-husband posted bail to keep her quiet. Christian added, pulling up financial records. Gordon Crawford. He's worth $8 million. If Vera starts talking about their daughter's death publicly, it ruins his reputation. So he's keeping her comfortable and quiet. Gordon, Austin repeated. Tell me about him. Christian pulled up a profile. Gordon Crawford, 62, owned a chain of medical supply companies. He'd remarried twice since Vera, had 3 other children, and was a prominent community figure. He's paranoid about his image, Christian noted. Runs tight control on his businesses. There were rumors years ago about his first wife's death, but they disappeared fast. Austin's mind was working. What if Gordon knew what Vera did? What if he helped cover it up? You think he knew she killed their baby? He blamed her at the time, according to the divorce records. But what if that was theater? What if he paid her off to keep quiet? Austin stood, pacing. Think about it. She murders their baby. He knows it, but exposing her exposes his negligence. So he divorces her, paints her as unstable, but keeps her financially comfortable enough to stay silent. That's a lot of speculation. So let's prove it. Austin turned to his friend. Can you dig into Gordon's finances from 20 years ago? Any large payments to Vera after the divorce? Christian's fingers flew across his keyboard. Give me a few days. And I need something else. Austin pulled out a flash drive. Everything we found about Vera's pattern. Can you write it up? An article exposing her, with all the evidence. Newspapers won't publish accusations without proof. I don't need newspapers. I need it ready to go viral. Social media, blogs, email chains. Just write it and hold it. When I say publish, you publish everywhere at once. Christian studied Austin. You're going to blackmail her. I'm going to give her a choice. Chapter 5. Gathering Arsenal. Austin's investigation consumed him over the next 2 weeks. He hired a private investigator, a retired cop named Isaac Erickson, who owed Christian a favor. Together, they built a comprehensive file on Vera Crawford. What they found was damning. Vera had been fired from 3 nursing positions in different states, all for medication discrepancies. In each case, patients under her care had unexplained complications. No charges were filed, but the pattern was clear. She's a serial poisoner, Isaac concluded during a meeting at a diner outside town. Classic Munchausen by proxy, plus narcissistic personality disorder. She gets off on the control and the attention when people get sick. Can we prove any of this in court? Austin asked. Not enough for criminal charges. But for a civil suit? Maybe. And definitely enough to destroy her reputation. Isaac slid a folder across the table. Here's everything. Witness statements I tracked down, medical records, employment records. Your journalist friend can use this. Austin added it to his growing arsenal. But he needed more. That night, he sat down with Cora. She'd been struggling since Vera's arrest. Guilt over not seeing the danger, rage at the betrayal, fear for their children. I need to ask you about your mother's death, Austin said gently. Cora looked up, surprised. Why? Because I think Vera killed her too. The color drained from Cora's face. What? No. Mom had a heart attack. It was natural. Was it? Austin showed her the autopsy report he'd obtained. Look at the toxicology. Elevated potassium levels. It can mimic a heart attack if administered correctly. And Vera was with your mother the day she died. Cora read the report, her hands shaking. She visited Mom in the hospital. Said she wanted to make peace after years of not talking. Mom was so happy. And she died 6 hours after Vera left. Tears streamed down Cora's face. Why? Why would she do this? Austin explained the journal, the revenge motive, the pattern of deaths. Cora listened, her grief transforming into something harder. What are you going to do? She asked finally. What needs to be done? Austin took her hand. But I need you to trust me. And I need you not to ask questions. Cora searched his face. Will she pay for what she did? Yes. I promise you, she will pay. Then do what you have to do. Meanwhile, Christian's financial investigation struck gold. He found a series of payments from Gordon Crawford to Vera, $50,000, paid quarterly for the past 20 years. For $1 million total, hidden in a complex web of shell companies and offshore accounts. It's hush money, Christian confirmed. Gordon's been paying her to keep quiet about something. Probably the baby's death. Can we prove Gordon knew about the murder? Not directly. But if we expose the payments and Vera's pattern, the implication is clear enough to ruin him. Austin smiled grimly. Perfect. Now I have leverage on both of them. The final piece came from an unexpected source. Julian had remembered something else. A conversation he'd overheard between Vera and someone on the phone. The boy had been too frightened to mention it before, but now he told his father. She said she had insurance, Julian recalled. She said if anyone tried to hurt her, she'd release information that would destroy Gordon. She kept saying she had proof of everything. Proof of what? Austin asked. I don't know, but she said it was in a safety deposit box. She laughed and said Gordon would lose everything if people knew the truth. Austin exchanged glances with Christian. She's blackmailing Gordon right back. That's why he posted bail, to keep her from talking. And if we can find that safety deposit box. Christian trailed off. We find the proof that destroys them both. Chapter 6. The Trap. Austin spent days tracking Vera's movements. She was cautious but arrogant, believing her ankle monitor and bail conditions were mere inconveniences. She maintained a routine, and routines created vulnerabilities. On Thursday afternoon, Austin watched from his car as Vera entered First National Bank on Maple Street. She emerged 20 minutes later, looking satisfied. That was her safety deposit box location. How do we get inside? Christian asked that evening. They were in Austin's basement, planning. We don't. We make her open it for us. Austin pulled out a burner phone. I'm going to call Gordon Crawford. I'm going to tell him that Vera is preparing to release information that will destroy him, and that she's keeping evidence at First National. I'll suggest he might want to secure that evidence before her trial. He'll go after the box himself, or send someone. Either way, it creates chaos. And while Gordon's making his move, we make ours. Austin showed Christian a schedule. Vera meets with her lawyer every Monday at 2 p.m. That's when she's most vulnerable, alone, predictable location, and distracted. What exactly are you planning? Austin's expression was cold. I'm going to confront her. I'm going to give her a choice. Confess everything. On camera, fully detailed. Or I release Christian's article exposing her pattern of murders. I send evidence to the police connecting her to my mother-in-law's death and Gordon's mother's death. And I make sure Gordon knows she's planning to destroy him anyway. And if she doesn't confess, then I do all that anyway. But at least she'll know her life is over. Christian shifted uncomfortably. Austin, if she confesses on camera, you can take that to the DA. The legal system will still probably give her a reduced sentence. Austin interrupted. Mental illness defense, grieving mother narrative, good behavior. She might serve 10 years. Maybe 15. That's not enough. What else are you planning? Austin met his friend's eyes. Justice that the law can't provide. Monday arrived. Austin followed Vera to her lawyer's office, confirming she went inside. He had 90 minutes. He drove to a storage unit he'd rented, opened the door, and reviewed his setup one final time. His phone rang. Christian. Gordon took the bait, Christian said. He just arrived at the bank with 2 guys in suits, looking very nervous. Perfect. When Vera finds out, she'll panic. At 3:30 p.m., Vera's lawyer meeting ended. Austin was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against her car. She stopped short when she saw him. "You're violating the restraining order." "Sue me," Austin said. "We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you." "Really? Not even about Gordon breaking into your safety deposit box right now?" Austin held up his phone, showing her the photo Christian had sent, Gordon and his men entering the bank. Vera's face went white, then red with rage. "That bastard." "That." She pulled out her phone. "I wouldn't," Austin said. "Because I have a better offer." She looked at him warily. "What offer?" "Come with me. Hear me out. If you don't like what I have to say, you can leave and deal with Gordon however you want. But I think you'll want to hear this." Vera's shrewd eyes calculated. "Why should I trust you?" "Because right now, I'm the only one offering you a way out of this that doesn't end with you dead or in prison for life." Austin gestured to his car. "Your choice." After a long moment, Vera got in. Chapter 7. The Confession. Austin drove to an abandoned warehouse on the industrial side of town, owned by a friend who asked no questions. Inside, he'd set up a chair, a table, and a camera on a tripod. Vera took in the scene, her confidence faltering. "What is this?" "This is your one chance at survival," Austin said. "Sit down." She sat, eyeing the camera. "You want a confession?" "I want the truth. All of it. Every person you've hurt, every person you've killed. My daughter, your daughter, Cora's mother, Gordon's mother, anyone else. You tell me everything, on camera, and I give you something in return. What could you possibly give me?" Austin pulled out a folder. "This is Christian Archer's article. It details your entire history, the nursing jobs, the suspicious deaths, the pattern of poisoning. It's ready to go viral the moment I give the word. 20 websites, social media accounts, email chains to journalists. Within hours, you'll be the most hated woman in America." Vera's jaw clenched. "And this," Austin pulled out another folder, "is evidence connecting you to 2 murders the police haven't even considered. Your confession on camera gives the DA ammunition to reopen those cases. You'll face multiple murder charges. Life in prison, no parole." "So what's my way out?" Vera asked coldly. "You confess everything on camera, fully and honestly. Then you disappear. Tonight. I have a contact who can get you across the border into Mexico. New identity, small amount of cash to start over. You never come back, never contact anyone from your old life, and you live out your days in obscurity." Vera laughed bitterly. "You'd help me escape? After what I did to your daughter? I'd help you escape the legal system, which would give you 3 meals a day and medical care for the rest of your life at taxpayer expense. That's not justice." Austin's eyes were hard. "Where you're going, if you're found, if anyone discovers who you really are, you'll face Mexican justice. And trust me, they're much less forgiving than American prisons." "Why would you do this?" "Because I want your confession. I want evidence that protects my family legally, that shows we weren't negligent or abusive. I want the truth on record. And I want you gone. Permanently disappeared, living in fear, no comfort, no security, always looking over your shoulder." Austin leaned forward. "That's better than you deserve, but it's the best I can offer." Vera considered. She was cornered and she knew it. Gordon would expose her if she tried using her blackmail. The police were building cases against her. Her only chance was Austin's offer. "And if I refuse? Then I release everything. Gordon comes after you." The police build their case. You spend years fighting in court, paying lawyers, and eventually end up in prison anyway. But this time, everyone knows exactly who and what you are. Your life becomes hell. Silence stretched between them. "What guarantee do I have you'll keep your word?" Vera finally asked. "None, but you don't have better options." After another long pause, Vera nodded slowly. "Fine, I'll confess. But you better have that Mexican contact ready, because if you double-cross me..." "You'll do what?" "You have no power here, Vera. You had power when you were terrorizing my 7-year-old son and poisoning my baby daughter. That's over now." Austin turned on the camera. For the next 2 hours, Vera confessed everything. Her daughter's murder 20 years ago, how she'd grown bored with motherhood and wanted the attention of a grieving mother. Gordon had suspected but couldn't prove it, so he'd paid her off to avoid scandal. Cora's mother's murder 5 years ago, revenge for testifying against her. Gordon's mother 3 years ago, more revenge, plus she'd been wealthy and Vera enjoyed killing wealthy old women. And Emma. Sweet, innocent Emma, whose only crime was being Cora's daughter. Vera described the poisoning in clinical detail, how she'd planned every dose, how she'd enjoyed watching the family suffer while playing the helpful aunt. And Julian? Austin asked, his voice tight with controlled rage. He was a loose end, Vera said flatly. I would have handled him eventually. After Emma died, maybe a tragic accident. Children are so careless around stairs. Austin stopped the recording before he did something he'd regret. He copied the file to 3 separate drives, sending one to Christian via encrypted email. There's your confession, he said coldly. Now here's your exit. He handed her a burner phone with one contact programmed in. Text this number. Say you're ready. They'll pick you up in an hour and take you across the border. You have one bag, basic supplies. Everything else stays behind. What about Gordon? The safety deposit box. Not your problem anymore. Vera studied him. You're not really letting me go, are you? I'm giving you exactly what I promised. The rest is up to you. She took the phone and left. Austin watched her go, then made a call. Detective Hall? This is Austin Lloyd. I have something you need to see. Chapter 8, Dominoes Fall. Detective Dwayne Hall arrived at the warehouse 30 minutes later with 2 other officers. Austin showed them the confession video. Hall's expression grew darker with each minute. Jesus Christ. She confessed to 4 murders. And conspiracy to commit a 5th, Austin added. My daughter. Where is she now? Gone. She thinks she's escaping to Mexico. Austin showed Hall the burner phone records. But I figured you might want to intercept her at the border. Hall smiled grimly. We certainly do. Where's the crossing? El Paso. Contact is picking her up in 20 minutes from a gas station off Highway 45. Austin provided the exact location. She'll have one bag, no weapons, completely vulnerable. You set her up. I offered her a choice. She chose to confess. What happens after is just consequences. Hall called for backup to coordinate with Border Patrol. Within 40 minutes, Vera Crawford was in custody, caught attempting to flee the country with a fake passport. Combined with her confession, she was denied bail and held without bond. But Austin wasn't done. He met Christian at a coffee shop that evening. Published the article. Every platform. Include excerpts from her confession, enough to make it clear what she did. This will destroy Gordon Crawford too, Christian warned. I know. The article went live at midnight. By morning, it had been shared 50,000 times. By noon, national news networks were covering it. Aunt of Horror became the hashtag trending worldwide. Gordon Crawford's medical supply empire began crumbling within days. Partners distanced themselves. Clients canceled contracts. His stock value plummeted. When evidence of his hush money payments emerged, courtesy of Christian's investigation, he was arrested for accessory after the fact to murder and obstruction of justice. His lawyer, Marcus Bradley, tried to negotiate a deal, but the public outrage was too intense. Gordon and Vera both faced trials that would define their lives and end them. But for Austin, there was one more piece of business. He found Gordon in a holding cell, waiting for his bail hearing. Guards let Austin into the visitor area. You, Gordon snarled. You destroyed everything. No, you destroyed everything 20 years ago when you paid off a child murderer instead of turning her in. Austin sat down calmly. You let a monster walk free because you were more concerned about your reputation. And because of that, she killed again. And again. My daughter almost died because of your cowardice. I didn't know. You knew enough. You suspected enough. You had a choice, and you chose wrong. Austin leaned forward. Now you get to spend the rest of your life knowing that every person Vera killed after your daughter is partially your fault. Every night in prison, you'll remember that you could have stopped her. Gordon's face crumbled. I was afraid. I didn't want to believe. Your fear doesn't excuse your actions. You're as guilty as she is. Austin stood to leave. Enjoy prison, Gordon. I hear the inmates don't take kindly to people who let children die. As Austin walked out, he felt no satisfaction, no victory, only grim resolve. The dominoes had fallen. The guilty would pay, but there was still one more domino to knock down. Chapter 9, Justice Served. 3 months later, Austin sat in a courtroom watching Vera Crawford's sentencing. The trial had been swift and brutal. Her own confession, combined with exhumed bodies showing poison, forensic evidence, witness testimony, and expert analysis, left no room for reasonable doubt. The jury had deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts. For counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, conspiracy, obstruction, and a dozen other charges. Judge Patricia Morrison looked down at Vera with barely concealed disgust. In my 30 years on the bench, I have never encountered evil as calculated and callous as yours. You murdered your own child. You terrorized a 7-year-old boy. You poisoned an infant. And you show no remorse. Vera stood silently, her lawyer beside her. She tried the mental illness defense. The jury hadn't bought it. You were sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole, consecutive sentences on each murder count. You will die in prison, Miss Crawford. And that is a mercy you don't deserve. As they led Vera away, she looked directly at Austin. For a moment, their eyes met. Then she smiled, that same chilling smile from the night he'd caught her. But Austin didn't flinch. He smiled back and mouthed 2 words, Julian won. Vera's smile disappeared. She understood. A 7-year-old boy had defeated her. A child she'd tried to terrorize had brought her down by protecting his sister and trusting his father. That was the true justice. Outside the courtroom, Austin found his family waiting. Cora held Emma, now a healthy, happy 1-year-old. Julian stood beside his mother, looking more confident than he had in months. Is it over? Julian asked. It's over, Austin confirmed, pulling his son into a hug. You were so brave, buddy. You saved your sister. You saved all of us. Christian approached, reporter's notebook in hand. The DA confirmed that Gordon Crawford is pleading guilty. He'll get 15 years, eligible for parole after 10. Good, Cora said quietly. He should suffer too. He will. Austin looked at his friend. Thank you. For everything. That's what friends do. Christian glanced at Julian. And for the record, kid, you're one hell of a detective. When you're older, come see me. I could use a partner with your instincts. Julian grinned, the first real smile Austin had seen in months. They drove home together, the weight finally lifting. Emma babbled happily in her car seat. Julian talked about his upcoming science project. Cora held Austin's hand across the center console. What you did, she said quietly, so the kids couldn't hear. Setting up that confession, coordinating with the police, building the case against Gordon, that was brilliant. I just protected our family. No, you got justice. Real justice. Not just legal consequences, but actual accountability. She squeezed his hand. My mom would be proud. And Emma will grow up safe because of you. That night, after the kids were asleep, Austin sat in Emma's nursery. He'd removed all traces of Vera's presence, repainted the walls a cheerful yellow, filled it with new decorations and toys. But he couldn't forget what had happened here. The evil that had walked these floors. The danger his children had faced. He pulled out his phone and opened the video file, Vera's full confession, backed up in 3 secure locations. Insurance, proof, evidence. If anyone ever questioned what happened, the truth was preserved. But more than that, it was a reminder. Evil existed. It wore friendly faces and used trust as a weapon. It exploited love and vulnerability. But it could be defeated. With intelligence, courage, and the fierce determination of a parent protecting their children. Austin thought about Julian sleeping peacefully in his own bed for the first time in months. About Emma growing up healthy and safe. About Cora finally able to breathe without fear. That was victory. That was justice. Not perfect. Not clean. But real. He turned off the light and left the nursery, pausing to check on Julian. His son was curled up with his stuffed dinosaur, face peaceful. You did good, kid, Austin whispered. You saved your sister. And your dad saved you both. As he returned to his own bedroom, where Cora was already asleep, Austin finally allowed himself to relax. The nightmare was over. His family was safe. Vera Crawford would spend the rest of her life in a cell, alone with her evil. Gordon Crawford would face his own justice, his reputation destroyed, his wealth depleted by legal fees. And Austin Lloyd would raise his children in peace, teaching them that when evil threatens, you don't give in. You don't cower. You fight back with every tool available, and you never stop until justice is served. Because that's what fathers do. That's what protectors do. They guard their families. And they win. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.